Hello. We had some technical. Can you hear? If you can hear us, both of us, please say yes. Can you hear?
All right, let's see. I'm speaking to test the audio. This is me. I'm here in Southern California. Hey, hey, hey. Ho, ho, ho.
If you are seeing us, please tell us if you can hear us. Let's see. An invitation. Oh, this is no. We are testing the sound. The sound. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you can hear us.
Oh, I can hear myself on my phone.
Please tell us testing the sound. Can you hear yourself?
I can hear myself when I go.
Perfect. Let's start all over again. Yeah, technical difficulties has been passed. Thank you so much for still being there wherever you are with us. We are going to start all over again. So, thank you so much for taking off your time to be here with us today. My name is Sarasa Feijo, and I am a creativity mentor. I help or I guide people into embracing their creative energy and let it feel their daily life, their businesses, their relationships, everything. So today is my first Creative Wednesday Creative Conversations, and I have a very special guest, Jeremy Charles Hohn. I'm gonna introduce him. So Jeremy Charles Hohn is a multimedia performance artist with a passion for devising theater and creating immersive audience experiences. He is currently a member of the LA-based Rock Artists Ensemble, an arts instructor for Bixby educational events, and a freelance theatrical provocateur. He is in January going to undertake a residency in the University of California, Irvine, with illuminations for non-art majors people. Yes?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, welcome, Jeremy.
Thank you.
Can tell us something? Tell us about you.
Okay. I'm also a person. Oh, there goes my headphone. Okay. I loved writing that bio because I used theatrical provocateur as a catch-all because I'm still finding my place in the theater, but I've been a clown for about 7 years, and that is sort of where that is where my heart is in creating artistic work. But I've been an actor and a dancer, a singer, a musician, builder of puppets and props, as well as stage manager. So I am just looking to sort of build out creative visions. We just finished a really beautiful immersive experience here in LA with my company, and I guess right now more than anything, I'm curious about rhythm.
Okay.
Rhythm is so intrinsic to everything that we do, from breathing to performance, and so I'm sort of trying to pay attention to that right now.
Okay. Rhythm, very interesting. Wait, so I was sharing our video so that
Yes.
Peter was watching us, so I want him to make sure that he sees us. Yes, rhythm, it's very important. Everything is rhythm.
Rhythm and timing. It comes down to everything, how we understand language, how we understand movement, and how we understand ourselves. It's sort of one of those natural influences like gravity.
Influences of what?
It's sort of one of those natural influences like gravity is. Like, you can't escape gravity. You can't escape rhythm. It's just intrinsic in everything that we are.
You can't escape gravity. I like this.
Try, I guess, if you're Elon Musk, but even Elon Musk knows that that's part of the equation.
So just to so yesterday, Jeremy and I had a little chat, and we decided that we were going to talk about subtle ways that creativity can empower you to be open to new possibilities in your daily activities, expectations, breaking patterns, and building identity. And we had, yes, it's very cool. And we had a very nice chat because Jeremy, in this residency he's going, he will be sharing, if I remember from our conversation, you will be sharing with people. Well, we both believe that we all are creative, yeah. But you will be sharing with people that perhaps don't use their creativity as the center of their life, no? Yes. And you were telling me that that the way you work with them is by playing cooperative games that will somehow deconstruct identity and build it or construct their identity again.
Yeah.
Tell us.
So,
yes.
Yeah, the grant department, which is sponsoring this program, their whole mission is to bring the creative arts that they have at UC Irvine, dance, visual art, drama, and music, to the non-art majors, because we know that there's just so much benefit from the tenets of creativity and the clown, of being able to see new possibilities and experimenting and playing. So what I am going to embark on is a process of sort of deconstructing identity. And like you said, one of the ways that I've found to do that is by getting involved in something that you can play with, usually cooperative. So it's not all like, what am I doing? How am I figuring it out? But it becomes more of a, I guess, a hive mind, you know? And hopefully through those cooperative games and movements, you can sort of get a perspective of how flimsy your own identity really is.
Yes.
And once you have that perspective, then everything becomes a blank canvas. And you can say, for this time, for this place, I'm going to be this type of person or this type of thing. And it gives, I hope that it will give them the freedom to take new perspective on their studies, whether that's psychology or anthropology or biology. And you basically using that process over and over again. Just say, I'm going to build up this identity here. I'm going to play with it, and then understand that what that is actually separate from who and what I am.
Yes.
Yeah.
And also, yes.
Oh, go ahead.
Go.
Well, I just think that, like, the process of playing is so inherent to how we maneuver in the world. And there's a lot of things that we experience as humans in a societal structure that want us to be confined and be adherent to one thing or another. And those constructs, they get so complex in our mind that it's hard to peel them away. But once you do, sort of like the clown, you sort of have these new eyes. It's a state of curiosity that really can be brought to any medium, to any field of study, to any moment in life.
So basically, part of what you are saying is that by playing and by being in the moment, we can forget for a moment, while we play, forget what our identity is supposed to look like, or what we are according to some rules or some society thoughts, and we can become anything that we want. And by doing this, following your thoughts, we can build something new in our life, because it's like we kind of break all these limitations, isn't it? And we can build something new, and we can be in this space in which something is new, something, what you were saying, no, this, we see life through these eyes of, wow, no, I can also be this person, I can also be this person.
Yeah, and I think one of the greatest tools for doing that is any type of meditation, anything that brings us back into the present moment. And as I was saying to you yesterday, like, the idea of meditation can sometimes feel very heavy, like really experience exerting a lot of effort to like not think thoughts. But I intend to show them through this process, because meditation is going to, I'm going to ask them to sit and breathe, but really meditation can be any activity or moment that allows you to check in with where you are, what you're doing right then and there. Anything that brings you back to the breath. Like, it can be anything from starting your car each day to, the sound of the air conditioner that I'm hearing right now. Anything.
Yeah, it's just bringing awareness to where we are, what we are doing, how we are feeling, and being open to register this, isn't it? So it's to stop the automatic response.
Right. Yeah, because then you give yourself permission to have agency in every moment of your life.
Yes. I love this. I want to have agency on every moment of my life.
Me too. That's why I practice. But that's what's so beautiful about practicing meditation and awareness of these things is the more you do it, the easier it gets. And you still have to bring that lens of discovery to each moment, because once you think you know it, once you think you understand it, you probably don't. You're probably accepting too much of what is already.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've seen time and time again, because I do this with my kids all the time, where they have a certain structure at school. A simple act like turning the chairs over. Like, one day all the tables were arranged and the chairs are tucked into the tables, and everyone knows to go sit at the tables. And before I started the lesson, it was a science class, I can't remember the subject, but before I started it, just to get their attention, I was like, okay, deconstruct the room, like physically, tear it apart, flip the tables over, flip the chairs over. Okay, now we are creating the space in which we are going to go on this journey.
Yeah.
And that it just enhances our senses, by being able to, like you said, take agency over what we're doing at any given moment.
And can you repeat the last part? The last part when you were saying that the children, you move everything around with the children. The last phrase you said.
Yeah, what can be done at different like intellectual levels. Like, a lot of this happens in the mind, especially past puberty, and when you're dealing with all the structures of like graduating from school. What is my career going to be? Where am I going with my life? For the younger kids, it's easier when it's tactile.
Okay.
It's easier when it's an observable physical change, like flipping over the chairs and rearranging the room. And the reason that we did that, or that I sort of guided them in that process, was so that they could see immediately the effect of taking ownership of creating space for a certain thing.
Okay.
And the way that relates to identity is we do that every single day. And what I'm trying to challenge is how much each day we're actually curating that. There's a saying that is like, we design our spaces. We put the bed in a certain space and we hang the right curtains that we like, or we organize our clothes, or we don't, in whatever way. But as we design our spaces, then they in turn design us. Like, it's a cyclical relationship. It's not just one way. The way that you keep your room, or the way that you keep your mind, inherently affects your thoughts and therefore your actions, because your thoughts really are action.
Yes. And then following this, and so for our audience, our the people that are watching us to understand, this you can do also with your creative energy. It's like following what he's saying. It's like taking ownership on your actions. Be aware of that energy. If you need, because I think you are saying that for kids, it's better to make things tactile and observable. But I think it's not only for kids, but also for our minds. For our minds. Because when I move to a new flat and it's empty, it's not very creative. But when I take ownership of my space, of how I want it to look like, and I start putting things that inspire me, things that I believe they are creative, things that make my imagination go wild, no? This is what you are saying. It's like, okay, I'm going to take ownership. I'm going to create my space to be what I wanted, no? It's and have awareness of this journey that I am creating for myself.
Yeah, agreed. And, you know, for the people who are watching who may not have space in their day to rearrange their room physically to do this, there are ways to do it in just the way that you perceive the room. Like something that I've started doing is I just turn on music as soon as I can in the day. Like I don't usually sleep with music on, but once I'm aware that I'm awake, I'm the kind of person who like wakes up and snoozes and then okay, I'll get up. I might snooze again, but when I decide to get up, like I turn on music because it gives me something to react to. I just can't help but like get up and start to move, and that momentum is really important. So sometimes novelty of a new song or a new type of breakfast, you know, or even just being aware of the way that you move, stumbling from your bed to your bathroom to brush your teeth, you know, singing while you brush your teeth. Like there are so many things that don't require the process of what we would think of as like creating art that are so creative, that are really just a matter of experimenting, playing within the structures we have. You know, I'm sure many of us would love to just like pick up and move to a beautiful place that we imagine in our minds, you know. But you can bring that beauty to just wherever you are in the way that you see the world.
Yes,
and in the way that you see other people too. You know, we talked a little bit yesterday about how modeling is so important. Like if I am not practicing these tenets of awe and creativity and discovery for my students, then there's sort of a disconnect. Like you say it, but you can't do it. And as soon as you feel that pep from whatever it is you're trying that day, whether you're skipping to work instead of walking, or you are, I don't know, you're just wearing a silly tie.
Yeah. Doing something that is, as you said, is experimenting. So maybe I always walk like this. Today I'm gonna try something different. No, I'm gonna walk in a different way, or I will put a different song while I walk that will give me a different rhythm. It's like basically being alive. Instead of running in automatic. No, this is creativity in its pure
breaking that pattern up, you know, even if it's just in the smallest way, like breaking up the pattern, and then having those moments throughout your day that bring you back to actually be aware of how that makes you feel. I think that's probably the most important part. Well, in balance with just playing and like not worrying about what it is having a moment to say like, oh, I feel happier, or when you're not breaking that mold, being like, you know, I don't feel inspired by this. How can I tweak it just a little bit so that I'm having more fun? Because when we have fun, it stops the chatter. You know, it's that momentum. It makes work more fun, even maybe if your work isn't fun. Hopefully it is.
This is for me has been a beautiful journey when I stop saying, why this is not fun? Why I'm not enjoying my life? And I change it to how. How can I make this moment more enjoyable? How can I make this moment more creative? You know, how can I make my life more fun? Is this how that has opened this door to having this, what you are saying, a more joyful, creative experience of my life?
Yeah, I think that's very important because, in a certain sense, the why is irrelevant. You know, really, if you understand everything why this is, that doesn't actually necessarily change it, except for maybe the awareness. It's the action you take. It's a follow through that will yield the results. And yeah, it has to start up here. It has to start in the thought. Even if and it's probably best if that thought is, okay, I'm not gonna really overthink what this is. I'm just going to try to enjoy things.
Yes.
Maybe that's a little vague. You know, I have to also say that not everybody may have the luxury of agency in and of themselves. They may be under constraints from their job or their parents. You know, they may have grown up in a difficult household. But all of those things, they come back to the why of why this thing is challenging and difficult and not fulfilling when they don't necessarily affect what you can do today. And finding those places where you can take agency are the building blocks of incorporating this into every moment.
Yes. So yeah. I just want to say a little parenthesis. If you are watching this and you want to ask questions to Jeremy or to myself, write your questions in the comments, and we will read them. We will read them out loud, and we will answer you at the end. Okay? So feel free to write whatever you want to ask. Okay. So doing a little review of what we have been saying is that so creativity can empower you know, in your daily activities. It's just a matter of changing the way that you look at things and to have the awareness of how can I make this moment to be more enjoyable or more fun, or how can I bring more, basically is how can I bring more awareness to my now. To right now.
To right now, exactly.
To right now. So what about Anne? We have already talked about breaking the patterns. By bringing awareness, you are breaking the automatic, the automatic response to everything. You are breaking patterns that are, yes. What about expectations?
I think there's a lot of layers to this, so I'll try to be concise.
I know.
You know? Because I mean, in one sense, expectations are just how we process the world, right? We expect that when we wake up the next morning, we'll still know how to speak our language. We expect that we'll wake up. We put a lot of expectations on ourselves based on what we already know, based on what we've experienced in the past. In addition to that, we're, from the moment we're born, put into expectations of, you'll go to school and you'll get good grades, you'll go to college and you'll get a degree and you'll get a job and you'll save for retirement and you'll buy a home and you'll have a family, and they all just stack up. And so it becomes a lot to sort of peel back, each particular layer, and then finally you get to this layer, which is all the inside chatter of what am I doing?
All of that.
And then you just have to say, all right, quiet, and just listen to how you feel about that, having at least identified what those expectations are, and then being able to say, how am I sacrificing my own enjoyment for the expectations of others? Sort of that idea that it's hard to love someone else before you love yourself, right?
But also because many of our expectations are really built because others, not because us.
Yes.
Because it has nothing to do with us. So maybe but it's something that we have adopted because the place we grew up and because we accept somehow this, isn't it?
Yeah. And another big influence from expectations is based on what you've done. You know, like you got an A on a test, so you're now an A student, or you got an F on the test, so you're an F student. And like, what does society think about that? When in reality, you're just a person.
Yes.
You know, and at any given moment, even though it's not always easy to remember it, you are not the way that others view your actions. You are what you're doing right now.
Yes.
And, I mean, that's something that I'm trying to remind myself of every single day.
Well, I think it's something that it never stops, because the day it stops, we come back to the automatic, isn't it?
Mm.
Yes.
Yeah, I lost a little bit where we were at.
We were talking about expectations and how the expectations normally they come from how others perceive us, or what according to society the things we should do. And you were saying that that whatever others perceive us, or our minds, we are what we just are what we are in this moment. That's
right.
The
and
only
as soon
thing
as
we
lose
are.
that, we start to hit the automatic. We start to.
So I was saying, well, yeah, exactly. This is what I said in response.
Yes, I agree.
So basically, because I want to do a little, if you are lost, let us know, and we can explain again. So basically, because who knows, isn't it?
I know I have a tendency to ramble, and I'm really trying to get to the point, because I want people who are watching this to find some value in it. You know.
Yes, totally.
It's fun to have this conversation and think sort of theoretically about how a lot of these things manipulate us day to day and how we can take control of it. But there's also very practical steps. And the first is finding that thing or variety of things that can help you remember where you are and just pay attention to this moment right now. If it's just simply standing and sitting, like, it's an incredibly challenging thing, actually, to just be aware of every single time you sit and stand in a given day. Whatever it is in your process, like, you sort of have mile markers. You never know exactly what's going to happen in a day. You have a plan, like in your calendar, like, I'm going to wake up around at this time, and I'm going to eat breakfast at some point before I go to work. But between then, it's all improvisation, right? And finding the things that you expect will happen that can help you bring awareness to that moment, and sort of programming little hacks, little games that you can play with yourself.
Yes.
You don't need anybody else to do this, you know?
Yes. And we are saying this just in case you got lost, because by coming back to this moment, you are going to connect with the creative energy within yourself. And it's this awareness in yourself that will bring that creative energy out. And from there, you will be able to create a new reality that's more joyful, which is at the end what creativity is, right? That it's more joyful, that it's more about awareness, that it's not about what others expect about you, but it's about something that you create. Creativity creates creators. Yes, so we are going to the pure creativity concept, so to speak.
Yeah, and this is really what the clown is about too. It's about having those eyes, that gaze and that lens of every single moment as a moment of newness, a moment of discovery, a moment of awe. You know, how can you be just simply in awe of pouring coffee into your cup? You know, how can you be in awe that you have lights in your house? You know, being grateful is also an incredible path toward this awareness. And then once you've programmed those moments throughout your day, then it's programming those moments to bring you back to right now, and then asking, how am I responding to this? Because in a lot of ways, our response is how we identify. You know, if you watch a scary movie and you don't like it and you never want to watch a scary movie again, then suddenly you're the kind of person who doesn't like scary movies. And that may be true for you, but that model pervades to every aspect of something that you may be unfamiliar with, that you may be afraid of trying.
Yeah, it stays there, isn't it?
Yeah, there's so much opportunity for agency when you face a fear, even if it's just a simple one. You know, talking to someone that you've never spoken to before, saying hello, just simply like. Sometimes, depending on where you are, it's now like a very rebellious act just to make eye contact with people on the street. And the more that you can break up the pattern of also, because we accept the expectations of our culture as well and of our society. And I'm not condoning people like run through the streets and like hit coffee cups out of hands just to make some chaos. But you know, within yourself, how can you subtly encourage creativity by breaking that mold, and by asking, how does this make me feel? How does this change my perception of myself, my space, and even those around me?
And my life, yes. Yeah. It's true. It's basically, creativity is when you are aware of who you are, that's where creativity is, within ourselves. So one more thing, and then I read you the questions. Well, there is one question.
Oh, great.
So we have talked already how creativity empowers us, expectations, breaking patterns. What about building identity? I know the answer because I know, but for people that are listening to us, you have talked about, for example, when you teach creativity, how you make games to break the identity that our mind has, which is by being in the moment in games. How do you build the identity, building identity? What is this?
Well, this is something that we are always doing, right? And it relates to the rest of it, because it's you sort of have an expectation of who you are in any given day, and you know, in creative work and storytelling, building identity can be a character. You know, it can be based on, like, let's take for example, like the structure of a play. Like the character within a play is, their identity is based on all the things they do between the beginning and the end of that play, and that's where they exist. And so taking that structure and applying it to the real world, like even right now, like I have an identity to the people who are watching this, who have never met or seen me before, that is only based on what I've done and said through this process. So we not only build identity for ourselves, but we build it for other people. You know, we and so another word that I sort of interchange with identity is mask, because masks have an amazing history in our culture going back many, many years. But what they have always done is sort of reveal a new identity and conceal the wearer of the mask.
Yes, it's true.
You know, there's a freedom that comes when you abandon your identity and you take on that of another. And so it comes down to games again. You know, building identity is a game, and we want to, I think, in creative work, understand that our identity is based around this game of life that we have. It's sort of a difficult concept for me to articulate, but
I think maybe, let me see, by what I'm getting, let me see if I can help you. By basically, when you play a game, when in this creative space, you are free to be whatever, no? Because you can see all the possibilities. All the possibilities, that the way that you can respond to a moment that are not attached to expectations, to mind limitations, to the idea of what I should be doing in this moment, but by having more fun or looking at life from this pure space within us, it means every moment I'm building up an identity that is flexible, because there are so many things and so many choices, and by choosing one, I'm building in this moment this identity, but I'm not attached to it, because next moment I will choose another one. And you know, is this what you are trying to say?
Yeah, I think you're totally on track. I think it's a process of self-awareness, right? It's a process of giving yourself the power to say, I'm building this identity because I'm doing this thing, you know, and these identities are temporary. So we are different people in different circumstances, in different places, and giving ourselves the permission to not feel obligated to one identity or another, and ultimately bringing more awareness to the variety of identities we may have in our life, and have a perspective, a wider perspective, to say, I am not necessarily that, and at any given point I can change. You know, one of the great benefits of creativity and creation is that perspective, that it's flimsy. What did you say? That it's it was another F word.
Flexibility.
But, and that it's flexible. Yeah.
Another F word. Okay. Peter, as he wrote, do you work with all ages, Jeremy?
I do. At the school, we have our students are between the ages of 5 to, I think our oldest is 14 now. But I've also done a couple programs with teenagers. At this school, at Bixby Educational Events, we have like a facility where you can drop off 3 days a week. But I also do freelance programs for different institutions through a cultural center nearby me. So I have done everywhere from professional adult classes to kindergartners. And before that, I was doing birthday parties as like Spider-Man and Luke Skywalker, Woody the Cowboy, a large variety of characters where I really learned how to improvise with children.
But then in the university, you are going to be with adults, isn't it?
Yeah, with adults, I imagine between the ages of 18 and 25, maybe older, depending on if people have returned to school.
Okay.
Yeah. And you know, there's a lot of differences, but there's also so many similarities. And a large part of the process is getting the adults to think more like the kids. you know, because they're not as attached. They're not as attached to who they are. They don't necessarily judge themselves,
so much,
at least for very long, based on what they've done.
Yes.
You know, it's easy for a kid, especially one who gets in trouble, to think poorly of themselves or be hard on themselves because they got in trouble for something. But they will let that go as soon as lunchtime hits and they're playing with their friends. An adult is much more prone to hold on to that potential failure longer and define themselves by that failure. And we don't have to be.
Yes,
I think that's really the punchline, is that any expectation that you feel is put on yourself, you don't have to be defined by that. It's a flexible reality that you're experiencing. And by bringing awareness to the fact that it is flexible and flimsy, you give yourself permission to change. And I think that's where a lot of the friction occurs in someone who is not necessarily enjoying their lot. You know, they're like, I want to change, but I don't know how. And being able to peel back the expectations of who you are and what others think of you, and sort of release that, can be a really empowering act.
Good, thank you. So this is the end, I think. So why don't you, before we said bye, why don't you share with us your next projects? What are you gonna work next?
My next immediate project will be at the school, helping the kids to cultivate an event where they share a little bit of what they've worked on this year in the way of woodworking and music, and sort of just playing a character. It's sort of going to be a mix of an open mic and a celebration party.
Okay.
And then with the Rogue Artist, we're doing a holiday party that is going to be a sort of opportunity for audiences to immerse themselves in the theater in different spaces. We'll have activities. For example, we built, like, you know, those fortune teller machines where you put $1 in and then you get a fortune. Yes. We got the mechanics for one, and so we're building out the case for it and putting a frame on it. Like it has we can change the identity of it based on just, like, you know, prosthetics and stuff. So I'll be making that holiday party and building a short performance for that.
Okay.
Yeah, that's in December.
Okay.
And actually, it'll be streamed live. So I would love for anybody who wants to tune in. It'll be at like 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. So that's probably like
8 p.m. Oof, that's
4 a.m.
It's 4 a.m. So where
where
can people that watch this live follow you? How can they find you?
They can find me at my full name, Jeremy Charles Hohn. Most of my social profiles are Jeremy Charles Who, like WHO. I'm ready.
Oh no. I went too fast.
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook and Instagram and Twitter. I'm mostly on Facebook and Instagram right now. Jeremy Charles Who, WHO.
Great.
And
okay.
I actually, you know, what would mean more to me than following me personally would be to follow the Rogue Artist ensemble.
Okay.
Because I just think that what we're doing is really beneficial for the theater community. We are constantly trying to break the mold and challenge ourselves. You know, we do always original stories and original work, and they are on social media at Rogue, ROGUE _
ROGUE.
Yep.
Artist. So I'm writing it on the comments.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys, for watching this. If you have watched all of this, thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope you have enjoyed. You can still write questions and we will answer you. Don't worry. If you are watching the replay, say replay, tell us where you are watching from, write your questions, we will answer. I hope you have enjoyed the conversation. Next week, we are hosting Damian Callan from Scotland. I will tell you more information throughout the week. I also, before we finish, I want to tell you about the 7-week Expand Your Creativity online adventure that I'm starting. We are gonna start on Saturday 25. So get in touch with me.
I love the name. Make it an adventure. That's fantastic.
Yes, online adventure. It's gonna run for 7 weeks. There are videos with things about creativity. We will have a secret Facebook group to share our creativity, and Facebook Live, and like it will be a lot of fun. If you want to know more, get in touch. Okay. So Jeremy, thank you so much. Yeah, it has been cool. Thank you for being patient with the technical problems we had at the beginning. It has been a pleasure to have you as my first guest.
The pleasure is mine as well. Yeah, we just have so much fun. I mean, I would do this again anytime.
Cool. Thank you. Okay, bye guys. Have a beautiful creative Wednesday.
Bye. See ya.